the meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call for attendance, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Present. Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Present.
Councilmember Sayre.
Present.
Councilmember McKnight.
Present.
Mayor Johnson.
Present. Thank you. Welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning into tonight's meeting. We value our residents and community members, and we want to make sure that anyone who wants to participate and provide input can do so. This meeting is available live via the city's new website by clicking on the video link under upcoming meetings on the homepage at cityofcarver.com, or you can join remotely via Zoom and provide input. Information related to joining the Zoom can be found on the city's website or attached to the agenda for this meeting. We ask that anyone wishing to address the council wait to be recognized by the mayor, be respectful, wait for your turn to speak, and please don't speak over one another. Callers will still need to provide their names and addresses for the record. With that, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilmember Henry. Let's pause for a second. Oh, yes, Brent, I'm sorry. You told me you had an addition to the agenda.
No worries. Mayor and Council, if we could add 5.2 update from Deputy Katie Sandberg.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the said amendment.
All right, we have a revised amendment by Councilmember Henry.
I'll second.
And a second by Councilmember Mock. Any further discussion? Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Aye, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayre.
Aye, Lori Sayre.
Councilmember McKnight.
Aye, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, motion passes. All right, up next is community comments. This is where if you're a member of the community and you would like to discuss anything that is not on tonight's agenda, now is your opportunity to do so. But I am not seeing any community members on the Zoom. So with that, we will move on to presentations and reports. 5.1, WCAB. Mary, good evening, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members and staff for allowing Katie Bowler-Goswich and I to come and talk to you for a few minutes tonight. Katie is our executive director, so I wanted her to meet everyone, so I asked her to Zoom in too. So I hope you don't mind that I have a partner in crime here, or a partner in goodness maybe is a better way to say it. As you know, Carver has been contributing, I believe, I know, $1,000 per year since we started WCAB in Carver County. In Carver County, that was 2014. And over the years, we've been providing rides to many people. In fact, many thousands of rides to about 800 different riders at any one time. We have a number of volunteers. One, I think each year I tell you about this fantastic volunteer, our dispatcher in Carver, who dispatches at least once a week or more if she can. And so she's a great representative for the city of Carver. What we're trying to do this year is, well, let me go back just a second, and Katie, chime in anytime. This year has been a difficult year for WCAB. We did suspend operations for only 2 months. However, we came back, was it August 1st, Katie?
We came back, I believe, May 1st or June 1st.
Okay, after 2 months.
Food and medical rides, and then we came back to full service August 1st.
Right, and in fact, in Carver County, we were the only ones who did do continue volunteer rides right so soon. We provided all of our drivers and volunteers with sanitation kits, and also they had an opportunity to buy what I call the shield between the driver's seat and also the seat in the back seat. Plus, we sent out a lot of rules and recommendations. Everybody has to be masked and so forth. and this has worked. We've had no cases that we know of COVID, and all of the riders are very, very understanding to be masked. And in fact, we also ask them at all times, of course, if they've been exposed to any of the symptoms or if they have had any of the symptoms. So this year has been difficult, but thankfully, through your contribution and other cities' contribution, and through some CARES funding that Carver County helped us obtain and that we obtained, we were able to provide those kinds of things and help for all of our riders and our drivers. So we've decided that we've met with different councils this year, either in person or by Zoom or by letter, that we would start thinking about an annual contribution so that every year we're always happy to come back and talk to people, but you can better plan for your budget. And I know that we don't have as many riders in Carver or rides as some of the other cities, but you've been generous to continue to contribute $1,000 per year, of which we are very, very thankful for. Katie, I know you have just a brief story to quickly tell people about why we believe WECAP is helpful in Carver County and in Carver.
Well, I think just in general, generally speaking, WECAB is a very kind of forward-thinking program. Perhaps we're not providing all, as many rides as we are to say in Chaska, but it's something that I think is forward-thinking for Carver residents to have in place when the time comes that they want to use it. For example, I have this little accessory on my arm here from a recent shoulder surgery, and so I can't drive. And so I live up in Wright County, and if I had WECAB, I would be a registered rider. However, I don't have WECAB. So this morning I had an 8 o'clock appointment, which kind of collided with a bunch of different things with my kids and my husband. And so, very long story short, I ended up having to call cab. So for 9 miles, it cost me $40. So on my way to this appointment, I had the whole conversation with the cab driver, and we talked about WECAB and what WECAB would, how WECAB would function in Wright County and things like that, and what it would actually cost me to take a WECAB ride for these 9 miles versus the $40 it was going to eventually cost me to take this cab ride. And it would have been $5 versus, an eighth of the cost versus the $40 I actually paid. And, our fee is not really a fee, it's a suggested donation. So it's very friendly for people who maybe aren't able to contribute, an actual, certainly someone who couldn't pay the $40. So I didn't really anticipate not being able to drive, but it actually happened to me, and I guess I didn't think my rotator cuff was going to be torn by my dog at the age of 41, but it was. My dog is fine. She got the leaf she was trying to get, and she tore my shoulder in the process, and she's alive to tell. But I guess my point is that I wasn't planning for it, but I needed transportation, and I think transportation is such a basic need that people forget about it. And access to transportation is really access to all those basic needs like food and medicine. So we really are thankful for Carver's contribution, and we really do need Carver's contribution to be able to continue to be able to provide safe, affordable, and flexible transportation in the city of Carver and throughout Carver County.
Thanks, Katie, for your story. And we could go on and on with different things and things that Carver has provided for us in terms of assistance and help and so forth. And also we could go on and talk about our riders and our experiences and so forth. But I don't have your agenda in front of me, but I know you're probably a long agenda. So I leave this meeting with a request for a continued contribution on an annual basis of $1,000. and we would be so grateful if you would consider that. And Katie, if you do decide to do that, you can contact Katie and or me, and we can make it very easy for you to make that contribution or to continue to work with us. One other thing I want to throw out is, you know, all of your community members, we really need drivers, and we've got some really, really, really good drivers, but we can always use more volunteer drivers. So if anyone's listening to this and you wish to sign up, you can go into the WeCab online, and it's a very easy process, and you'll be working with Katie, become a full-time, or not a full-time, a volunteer with WeCab. So with that, on behalf of both Katie and me and the entire WeCab organization, I want to thank you for letting us come to your meeting tonight, and thank you for everything, and please be safe. So with that, we'll take off, unless you have questions for us.
Yeah, let's open it up to questions, Mary. Council, any questions for Mary or Katie? Go ahead,
Sure.
Christy.
Hi, Mary. It's good to see you again.
Hello, Christy. How are you?
I'm good. I wanted to ask for the ridership members that we have you taken your flyers information to a couple places here in Carver that might be able to utilize it? One is Carver Crossing, which is our subsidized living facility here. That might be a good spot to drop off some of your information. Also, our senior living facility here in town now. And then we have 2 churches too. And maybe dropping some information off at our 2 churches might help get the word out a little bit more about what you are looking for, that you're looking for drivers, but also for people to use the service as well.
Good suggestion. I think we have dropped things off with the crossing, but I'm not aware of the senior facility or the churches is another great idea. Katie, did you want to add to that?
I was just gonna really say what you said. So yes, then the Carver Crossing, but I'm not certain about the senior facility or the churches.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Christy.
Go ahead, Lori.
Thank you, Mary, for the presentation. Councilmember Sayer here. I have kind of like a twofold question. What criteria do you have in looking for drivers? What I'm thinking is vehicle requirements, you know, and age. I know there's some seniors in high school that are looking to contribute to the community and get credit for some volunteer hours. So what's the criteria, other than compassion and being available, that you look for in volunteers?
Age-wise, our volunteer drivers have to be 21, so seniors in school, but college students certainly could, as long as we're 21. As far as vehicles go, we are Uber or Lyft. You don't have to have a 2018 or later model. We do ask that it is neatly kept, but you know, we're not looking for, you know, the newest, latest, greatest. You don't have to have a Tesla or anything. So, you know, it's not like that. We do, you know, ask for a clean driving record. Specifically in the past 2 years, we would like to not see any speeding tickets, no DWIs in the past, I believe, 5 years. I'd have to double check all of the.
That's correct, Katie.
The list, but those are the kind of the basics. You have to be able to pass a criminal background check. And then you also, as far as our dispatchers, I would say, I don't know if we have an age range on dispatchers, do we?
No, we do not.
So dispatchers and rider registrars could be, I would say 18, but I would say they would have to be 18 and up. They need to be adults. It's just because they're handling a lot of data. And there'd be privacy issues, so would like to be 18 and up. So,
Thank you. That answers my question.
Right. Any other questions for Mary or Katie? I see Joy shaking her head no. I see Glenn shaking his head no. All right, ladies, thank you. I especially appreciate, you know, my question every year is what are the Carver specific numbers? I appreciate that you including that in your information you share. So thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much. Take care. Be safe.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 5.2. I think we're getting an update from Deputy Sandberg. Katie, take it away.
Hi, thanks for fitting me in tonight. I know it's kind of short notice, but with the new year, I thought I'd just pop in and reintroduce myself quick. My name is Katie Sandberg. I'm starting my third year here, serving for the city of Carver. Been with the county for 4 years. You probably see me around driving. I work day shifts Monday through Friday. If you need anything, feel free to flag me down or call, call the county and they'll send me your way. I really don't have much new information, but I did think I would share just a few tips with some stuff that we're dealing with as a city and as a county right now. Number one would be remember our snowbird ordinance. I know our public works guys, they work really hard to clear the streets. That makes it difficult for them if you leave your car parked out there when we get more than 2 inches of snow. Secondary, if you're mailing any important documents, anything with your social security number on it, bank information, checks, or even if you're mailing cash, do so from the post office. We've been seeing a lot of mail thefts around the area lately. And when you put up your flag on your mailbox, that's just a giant red flag for criminals to stop by and pluck out what's in your mailbox and take it for themselves. So mail it either from a blue box or drop it off at the post office. Next, make sure you're locking your car, especially if you're parked on the streets or in your driveway. Absolutely lock it. I even locked my personal car when I parked inside my garage. In that same breath, let me say, take any valuables out of your car. Again, if you're parking on the street or in your driveway, don't leave your purse, your wallet, your backpack with your MacBook sticking out of it. That's just a quick target. People are walking around at night, peeking in cars. And if it's unlocked and there's a nice target inside, they're going to pull your stuff out and take it. And then finally, we're coming up on tax season. Just a reminder that the IRS will never call you. They won't issue a warrant for your arrest, and they won't ask you for any payment using gift cards. So if anything is funny or suspicious and you don't know if it's true or not, before you act on that, call the sheriff's office. We will come and read through whatever you're getting, and we'll help you sort it out. That's what I have.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for Deputy Sandberg?
Katie, I just want to say thank you for all that you do around the community. I hear really positive feedback, and you don't necessarily always hear positive feedback when it comes to law enforcement. So I just want to say thank you. You're doing a great job, and it's nice when I hear that from people around town too. So thanks for being here with us.
Appreciate it.
Then were you saying something? No.
I was just thanking her.
Okay.
Thank you, Katie, for all you do.
Thank you.
Joy, Lori, anything?
Oh, just thank you. Appreciate the updates.
All right, Deputy Sandberg, thank you. I actually learned something. I guess I'll have to start locking my car in the garage. So, thank you. Appreciate those tidbits. I think unless you need anything else from us, we appreciate you coming to the meeting virtually, and we'll see you around. Be safe.
All right. Thanks. See ya.
Okay. See ya. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilmember Henry, and Lori, that was you with a second?
Yes.
A second by Councilmember Sayer. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry,
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock,
Hi, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayer,
I, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight,
I, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to item 8.1, the Downtown Improvement Project. Mr. Merrick.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At your January 19th meeting, the council reviewed a number of improvement projects within the downtown related to sidewalks and intersection improvements. The one item that the council asked to have come back relates to the installation of a stop sign and related bump outs at the intersection of Main and Broadway. And so with that, I'll toss it over to Aaron Schmidt, Assistant City Engineer, to review the options he's prepared for the council to review tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Brent. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
All righty, I will share my screen here quickly. One moment, please. Can everybody see the
Yep.
the PDF on the screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Mayor and Council. What we're going to be doing tonight, as Brent mentioned, we presented the entire downtown improvement project at the last meeting. So tonight what we're really doing is we're zooming in on this intersection in a little bit more detail. So what I have for you tonight is what we're calling options A and B. Option A is what I would consider more of a traditional bump out design for this intersection, for the four-way stop. It really focuses on the pedestrian safety as you cross the intersection. So really focusing on keeping that crossing distance to a minimum. So reducing the time that the pedestrians have to get across. Option B is the one where we aren't really doing anything in this on the east side. And what that will do, the intersection will obviously still be a four-way stop, but the pedestrian movement will act and feel pretty much like it does today. So the crossing is about the same distance. So no real benefit with option B with pedestrian mobility, just simply getting that four-way stop that has been desired. So one of the key components to the discussion at the last meeting was the loss of parking stalls downtown. Obviously that's a very big thing for a downtown area. So what we did is we went back and we really started to look at the downtown area in general and how it operates and feels from a driver perspective. And what you'll see here is we've really tried to minimize, and I'll say safely minimize, the amount of stalls that we're proposing to be eliminated due to sightline issues. Last time we were looking at a 30-mile-an-hour design speed for this intersection. Looking at the other areas downtown, we think 20 miles per hour is still adequate and safe. But what it did is it cut down the sight distance a little bit. So I will caveat it with saying that Carver County still has to review this and approve it since they are in charge of this roadway. But this is what we would be presenting to them is our design recommendation for speed approaching this intersection. So just to further expand on the parking stall loss count for either option. So option A, like I mentioned, this would be losing 2 stalls. It would be one on each side of the intersection. So it'd be this stall right here, which is pretty clearly a sight line issue if there's a car parked there. And then on the other side, it's the last stall right here. And that's simply so you can get this bump out formed to get the crossing distance shortened. But then after you get here, it will go back into the existing curb and preserve the second stall. The next option, similar issue here. This really doesn't change too much on this side. But on the other side, there's no bump out at all here. So the configuration remains identical to what it is today, with no benefit of a bump out here to extend into the road per se. Another question that was brought up at the last meeting was the existing light pole, and I just want to note that is right about here in this picture. So the pedestrians will be able to walk around this pretty easily. So we have basically a corner pedestrian ramp on option B. So in general, what we'd be looking for tonight is council direction and a motion to direct the city engineer to prepare plans and specs for the 2021 downtown improvement project, either option A or B. Recommendation would be option A, just simply because of the added benefit of the pedestrian access route across the intersection. So that would be our recommendation for tonight. Looking at next steps, if council authorizes us to proceed, we'd be looking at putting the plans and specs together here in February and going into bidding here or bringing it back, I should say, in March to authorize us to bid the project. And we'd be basically fast tracking the project through March and then awarding in April, and hopefully having a construction project downtown in May. So with that, I will open up any questions.
All right. Aaron, I'm going to start off with the questions. My question is, what happens to kind of the ramp or the driveway entrance at the at Greg's garage there?
Okay.
Does anything happen to that? Is that more of a hard curb versus a driveway entrance?
Yeah, so Mr. Merrick has actually had some preliminary conversations with Mr. Witt, and he's alluded to not needing that access anymore. So that would be a high back curb is probably how that would end up going at this point. So
okay. Okay, that was my only question. My preference is this option A. I like it, we're doing this to make this a safer crossing, and in my mind, seeing the length of the crosswalk in option B really goes against what we're trying to accomplish here by making that a longer crossing that's significantly longer. So as much as I hate to see the loss of parking in downtown Carver, I think it would be silly to do one bump out without the other in order to have those traffic calming features and all of the other benefits of that area. And again, you heard me say this 2 weeks ago. I keep going back in my mind and thinking ahead in time when we have a park in that area that's kind of to the, what would it be, the southeast of there, and we have a bunch of kids running around downtown. So just think it's a safer option. Joy, I know, Christy, if you don't mind, I know that Joy has to leave a little bit early, so Joy, I'll give you first bite at the apple.
Oh, thank you. I can be brief. So, either option is appealing to me just because we are minimizing the reduction of lost parking spots. I do want to know, I drove past this intersection 3 times this weekend, and I will tell you that we are actually losing another parking spot because in front of that Greg DeWitt's garage, we'll use that as a parking spot. So I saw somebody parked there 3 different times this weekend, right where that pink spot is. Yes, past these striped lines on the pavement. Yes.
okay.
So, yes, essentially. So, but I'm all in favor of making this a much safer intersection. So either option is okay to me. I obviously prefer whatever we think the most safest option is going to be for pedestrians. And I do like the idea of motorcycle parking. I know it was mentioned in our last meeting, that people don't ride motorcycles many months of the year. I would argue that they do probably 9 months out of the year in Minnesota now that our weather has gotten erratically warm, especially in the fall months. But I do think it's also a welcoming idea to have a specific place for motorcycles to park. It's a little more inclusive in our downtown area because we know there are a lot of people who like to ride their motorcycles through town. So anyway, I do applaud us utilizing that space for that purpose. So that's all I have to say. Whatever the council feels more strongly about, I'm okay with either option.
All right, thank you, Joy. Okay, Christy, go ahead.
Thanks, Joy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump. I know you have to leave. That's a good reminder. Thanks, Mayor Johnson. So for looking at this, I see it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit on this, but it looks like it says no parking sign past Greg's. We allow parking over that bridge, don't we? Currently, so are we not allowing parking on the bridge any longer?
I think there is one no parking sign along this portion. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but the county's direction that we've received to date based on how the truck turning works in here, it was encroaching. You know, obviously this is an entrance anyway, but
Yeah.
they wanted it to have no parking up to the bridge. Is the
to the
direction
bridge,
we've
okay.
received to date. Yeah, up to the
Okay,
bridge.
and that's fine. I just don't want to lose the parking in front of the bridge because that's purposely pushed back there to allow for parking. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't lose that also. When I'm looking at, can you flip to the option B?
Mm-hmm.
So when people are crossing here, I know there's talking about this long crosswalk, but unless the car that's taking a left to go down Broadway is intent on running smack into parked cars, the traffic is not going to come and just wipe out pedestrians anymore with this configuration than with the other one. I am about keeping as many parking stalls downtown as possible, especially when we start thinking about adding some different park features down here. And again, if the bump out comes to where the end of the white line, I guess, hashtag is there, anyways, no one is going to be pulling around that corner and driving straight into vehicles. So to me, that is kind of a moot point of where the pedestrians are walking in that section. I know we had talked about in the orange section about compact car parking, and is that not doable?
It's that one would be doable. Based on the direction I heard at the last meeting, it kind of sounded like maybe compact parking wasn't as desirable, so we didn't present it that way tonight. But I would think that, you know, you could maybe get one in there. So.
Okay. And I don't have a strong feeling either way. I mean, motorcycles are going to park in other stalls as well. But if there's a section there, and if the compact cars just seems like it's going to be too difficult to manage, or, you know, we might end up with cars parked there that aren't, then if it goes to motorcycle parking, that's fine. Can you go back to the other one? There we go, okay. And so here, like I said, again, clearly that bump out on Lisa's corner takes out that spot, but again, where that starts is where cars would already be parking anyways. Is there anything else on this one that is different from option B on the Greg Witt garage side? Or is that typically the same of these?
The only thing that's different on the Greg Witt side between the two options is the configuration of the pedestrian ramp.
Of where
so in this
ramps.
option, you have two one-way ramps, whereas on option B, you have one big fan on the corner of the intersection.
Okay.
That's the only difference really between the two options.
Okay. Could you flip back to the other one? I just want to see the difference.
Yeah, I can just flip if you want to see.
Okay, thanks. So I guess those are my only comments on these. I am in preference for B for the reasons that I've stated. So those are the only questions I have.
Thanks, Christy. Glenn, you want to go next?
I prefer option A. I like the sight lines, I like the safety of the sidewalk, and I think that at a future time, Lisa might even be able to use that bump out to her advantage. Instead of losing a parking spot, you can look at it as an opportunity for maybe a sidewalk, tables and stuff. So that's my only thoughts about that. I'm fine with option A. I prefer that just for simplicity.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Lori?
Yeah, my preference is option A as a first choice.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion. You know what? I'll make a motion to direct the city engineer to prepare plans and specifications for the downtown improvement project with intersection option A at Broadway and Main.
I'll second that.
A motion by Mayor Johnson and a second by Councilmember Henry. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry,
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock,
Nay, Christie Mock.
Councilmember Sayer,
Hi, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight,
I Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. The motion passes on a 4-1 vote with Councilmember Mock voting no. Okay, let's see. We're on to communications. Joy, I'll give you an opportunity to go first, and we'll shoehorn your council member communications in here first, because I know you got to go.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So I got to attend my first Southwest Transit meeting. Courtney, you did not tell me the meetings were 2.5 hours.
Why do you think I so eagerly gave those to you?
It's okay. It was fascinating. So I'm super excited to be joining that group. They seemed like an awesome group of representatives from all the surrounding communities. It was great to learn more about Southwest Transit's business. Brent, you know if Len has scheduled time with the council just to give a 2020 update and 21 look forward? He hasn't. Okay, because he mentioned he had scheduled some meetings with other city councils. So I'll push him to do that. I think he had some good data on last year. You know, I was glad to see in our consent agenda items around the Prime service. You know, just one of the stats that they had given us was, you know, ridership was down 77% in 2020 versus 2019, but Prime was only down 50%. So the majority of the down was Express, which, you know, they canceled, you know, they suspended service, but Prime actually did okay. And they really feel like Prime is going to have a really strong 21 and going into the future. So it's definitely a needed service. Another interesting item on their budget for this year is they are going to be investing in 2 electric vehicles to be utilized for Prime or some of their other services. Something they budgeted for anyway, but they are applying for a MnDOT grant to cover it. But they're going to move forward either way, whether they get the grant or not. And this is going to be a trial. One of the first sort of usages like this within the metropolitan area. So it'll be a good sort of test case to see if they want to invest and go in this path in the future. So that was interesting to me. So anyway, that's all the updates I have.
All right. Thanks, Joy. Lori, you want to go next?
I don't have any updates.
Okay, thanks. Glenn?
We did not have a planning commission meeting last month rather. Go out and get your soggy bottom hats. They look great.
Thank you for the promotion, Glenn. I'll lead into mine after
problem.
that.
And the modeling. Strike a pose, Glenn.
Other than it, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Christy?
Again, thanks, Glenn, for the promotion. I don't have anything besides soggy bottom to talk about. We'll be selling hats for a couple more weeks. And I know some, you know, people, $25 for a hat. I want to encourage people to not think of it as a hat. Think of it as that's just something fun to get along with it. This is really about our community giving $25 each to help out people in need. So we will be doing that. You can go to Eventbrite as well and donate simply cash donations there. So that doesn't get you a hat. Of course, if you donate there and you email me that you have or message me that you have, I can certainly get a hat for you. But that doesn't strictly like just lead to the hat. I have to get a notice there. So anyways, feel free to go on Eventbrite and donate that way or buy the hat, and let's take care of each other here. So thank you.
Thanks, Christy. I echo Christy and Glenn's urgency of buying hats. Jill Curry is the recipient this year, and she was diagnosed in November with pancreatic cancer, which is inoperable. And so Jill's a neighbor and a friend of mine, and she's really, 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 really appreciative of everything the Lions are doing for them. So buy a hat. Let's see. As far as my updates, I connected with Senator Coleman this week and got her up to speed on our levy project. So I mentioned earlier that I continue to approach whoever will listen about our levy project so that they know what's going on, and especially our folks in St. Paul. I think it's really important that they are well armed and well informed so that they can be the best advocates as possible for us on this project. So she's up to speed. She seemed very much on board and very appreciative and very willing to fight on our behalf for whatever money might be available this year at the legislature. I also, presented to the Chaska Rotary. I had mayor's office hours a couple of Saturdays ago where a couple of folks attended. I met with Commissioner Fahey in the same kind of, he's been around for a long time, but here's welcome to Carver. These are our priorities, and I went over our legislative priorities just to give him an idea of where our collective heads are at, and then also went over the levy project for him, should there be any funding options, quite honestly, that he's aware of, or any ways of moving our project forward. Let's see, I had my first Carver leaders meeting, which was a really good group. I became the chair of that group at that first meeting. Let's see, also it's February 1st, so that means it is time to get your community garden registration in. So thank you to Brenda who did that. She tells me that I am not the only Carver resident who applied for a plot today. Just a reminder that we have a finite number of community gardens and that there will be a lottery system. If we get more applicants, then we have plots available. Also, kudos to Brenda Good for her work on the new website. It looks tremendous. If you haven't been to cityofcarver.com yet, please go. It's nice to have a modern and searchable, you guys know that that's been my axe to grind, searchable website. I can get whatever information I need from there, so I'm super, super excited. And then last thing, and just kind of a fun tidbit, interesting numbers. I recorded a podcast today with Greg Anderson, who is a real estate in this area. He lives in Chaska, and he shared the December local market update with me. And the numbers, I'll send this to Brent so that he can share it with council, but the numbers of the rolling 12-month average of home sales in Carver really knocked my socks off. Just real quickly, new listings went up from 221 in 2019 to 311. That's a 40.7% increase. Closed sales, 138 to 212. That's a 53.6% increase. Median price went from 367.5 to 393.7. And then, let's see, there was one more. Average sales price went from 368 to 404. So there is zero COVID effect in the housing market in Carver, and the housing market remains really strong. So just thought that was interesting. I'll have Brent forward it to the rest of the group if it brings any value. So
Mayor Johnson, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did they offer any information on where, I guess, around the state people are coming from out of state, people are coming from in-state, are people moving from the metro? I mean, did they offer any of those statistics at all?
Excuse me, Mayor Johnson?
Yep.
Could I jump in here? I'd like to get some update or some feedback from the council before
Yes.
Councilman Knight leaves.
Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I know there's been some correspondence floating out there about this ratio irrigation program. I was able to connect with Madeline Sevlin this afternoon, and she agreed to come out to the council's February 16th council meeting. So she'll do a much better job than I could of presenting what the program is and how it functions and how it relates to the city. So that would be my plan, unless the council's not interested in hearing from that. I can pass it along, but that would be my plan if you're okay with hearing that presentation.
I'm fine with that. Does anybody have any objections?
No, good education.
And then related to Senator Coleman, she's coming out to your March 1st meeting to present via Zoom and connect with the council. And then the last thing, I just wanted to get some feedback related to plow truck that's in the 2021 budget. We've been going kind of back and forth where at one point we thought there was going to be a deficit, then it moved to a surplus. And then based on kind of the recent reports of Representative Nash's legislative update, moving back towards a likely deficit. And Chad and I have been communicating regarding the plow truck. The one point I wanted to bring up and get some direction from the council on relates to and Chad can fill in the details, but to my understanding, there's a 6 to 9 month lead time. Is that correct, Chad?
That is correct.
On a plow truck, and so there's depending upon when we'd move forward, there's a chance that we could not have it in time for the 2021-22 plow season. So just wanted to kind of get some idea of the council's comfort level in making alternate contingency plans, or how comfortable you are with either, having a different contingency for LGA cuts, or just saying, we're okay with, maybe not having that plow truck into halfway through into the next year's plow season. Just need some feedback on a path to bring back to you at some future meeting.
Joy, you want to go first?
I guess I'm struggling. How are we using state aid to buy the snowplow? Am I missing something?
We're not technically using state aid to buy the snowplow. We're essentially using the special capital fund to use it.
Oh, okay.
In early budget discussions, the council had requested that purchase not move forward if LGA was going to be in jeopardy, as the special capital fund, could be in essence a contingency fund. For that, I would offer that there are probably funds in there. There are funds in there to use in excess of the plow purchase, but I understand the perspective of being maybe more conservative with that, and so it's not I don't want to bring plans and specs, etc., to the council meeting if you wouldn't feel comfortable. So that's in essence what we're getting at here.
And when will we know state aid?
I would say
March?
By middle of May, if they can reach a decision. Sometimes it ends up getting pushed to special session, and we can be deep into the summer before we have an answer.
Okay, so what's the do nothing? What's the result, Chad? If we don't have another snowplow for next season, what happens?
We wouldn't have with all the road construction that's going on. It would just take longer to plow for during a snow event. That's the bottom line, and it depends on what level of service you want to provide for the community. So right now we're doing roughly a 12-hour window to plow curb to curb, and with more streets it might go 16 to 18 hours.
Okay. I don't know. That doesn't sound awesome from a service perspective, but I understand it might be better to wait and find out. So the worst case is if we find out in May and we are getting enough, or there is enough funds that we can pull the trigger, and then we'd have a plow mid-season. That's what we're saying.
It would probably, if we'd find out in June if we wanted to proceed with 9 months lead time to build the truck, then it would probably be March or April of 2022.
Okay. So if we wait any further, we probably won't have another snowplow truck.
Correct, for the 21-22 season.
Okay.
What was the price of the truck again?
Approximately $220 is from pricing from the trucks that we purchased previously, so they're about 5 years old now.
And we've committed, or at least the budget plan for that would be about 176 from the general fund or that special capital, and then the balance from the water, sanitary, sewer, and stormwater funds.
I don't want to jump over you, Joey.
No, please go ahead. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how bad it is to have an extra 8 to 12 hours of customer support, you know,
so if we don't receive LGA then, and we have to, I mean, so if we get the plow, what are we taking away from then? So if we get the plow, but we're not getting LGA.
It would be the same, if we get the plow and we wouldn't get LGA, it would be basically taking from the same pot of money, that special capital fund. The council has kind of informally dedicated $200,000 towards the project match for Carver Station, or the operations grant. But you could also, you know, this has been over a decade, but you know, the council could do a series of other, you know, budget cuts, you know, related to that. Typically on LGA, they don't cut the whole thing. It'll likely be 20% or maybe half at the most.
Okay, so is part of it that we don't want to deplete the entire special capital fund, or because that's what would happen if we didn't get LGA? I guess I'm a little bit confused.
No, so there's not. I don't have a concern that the special capital fund would be depleted. Just based on preliminary audit numbers, I'm pretty confident that we'll be adding to that fund. This is just based on comments during the budget work sessions where the council had basically, you know, inkled, not everyone knows what that means, but a bit like Stearns County term, but basically it said that you wouldn't feel really comfortable with securing the purchase of that truck if LGA was still in question. And I don't know if feelings have changed on that, considering the city's overall financial position with us to add to the special capital. We'd have the money to cover the truck purchase and a complete loss in LGA. Okay. So it's not a matter of cash on hand to do it. It's a matter of your comfort level with the overall balance of the fund. One of the things that we're trying to kind of stay away from this narrative, but I think it's a real one, is when we had a vehicle go down. When you go from 3 to 2, we could still provide that 12 hours of service pretty well. But if right now when we have 2, and last year we had 1 down, to go from 2 to 1 is quite a bit more significant. And so if the council feels comfortable, I think there's quite a bit of benefit into adding that third plow truck, just from a service standpoint, but also from a reliability to our overall fleet. If we have 1 go down, we can still provide reasonable service with 1 plow truck.
Yep.
We have equipment.
So Brent, inkling is also a Nicollet County term, so I knew what that was. But for me, with the amount of roads that we are adding, and if something with LGA, this isn't going to affect us and be detrimental to us, I'm for still getting this plow truck now. I like the comment of, if 1 goes down, we have 1. I mean, that is not a lot, and I think that we need to be. We're just growing. I don't think that waiting, until after even the next winter season is going to do us any good. So from my perspective, I'm ready to go forward with getting the new plow truck.
So I second that. I think the residents are going to be like, the roads are being built. These developments are happening. Why are you not planning for snow plowing, right? Figure it out with the budget. So I support that too. And also just the concept of mitigating risk if we have any performance issues with those vehicles.
Brent, can I just get some clarification? You said that we've got enough money to cover a purchase of a snowplow truck in the special capital fund, but then does that kind of get into the $200,000 that we kind of have set aside for the Southwest or the transit grant match?
It would, as it stands, yes.
Okay. So I alluded to it earlier in talking about the JCP contingency, but I'm not a gambler. I think as much as I support the purchase of this truck, I say we wait until we have a better idea of what the state budget outlook looks like and what that means for LGA. Lori?
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking the approach of money aside and just providing the services that the residents need and thinking about safety. Especially with ice conditions that can happen, and I just think JCP is going to be such a different road in the upcoming future. I support ordering a truck now. I support ordering a truck so that we can have it ready by, whatever that be, October, November. Still thinking of, October 1991, the Halloween storm. So I do support an additional vehicle for the fleet. One question I have is, do we have someone to work it? If we just have two, are we spending more money on overtime? Like, is there kind of like a give and take? And sorry, Mr. Sell, these questions might come as a surprise, but do you foresee that snowfall next year will be equipped to have enough drivers to operate it without paying a lot in overtime?
Yes, we would have staff to drive it.
Okay.
Lori, I'm sorry, so your question though was about, are we adding like significant more like staff dollars, right, for the type of work? So do you run them all three then, or are you running two during regular hours?
Right now, we run two of them at a shift until everything's curb to curb, and then we go out with other equipment. So it would just be that curb to curb process would be a little bit quicker. For example, we were planning for the snow event this weekend. We had one person out of town. We would run two people per shift. In a typical snow event, most of the time they work at least 8 to 12 hours.
So if it happened in the middle of the night, you would then run 3 trucks with 3 guys on overtime. Is that right?
We run a varied shift. So we would have 2 people come in. If we had another truck and it was a large snow event, we wouldn't utilize that 3rd truck. But then it wouldn't be overtime. They would come in. Okay. There's certain people work midnight to 8 a.m. And then we have another shift from 7 to 7. This might be a good precursor. I'm actually working on the snow and ice policy right now. So, but it's not all overtime. But in a large snow event, there would be more overtime with only 2 trucks.
I guess I'm trying to foresee there's some unexpected cost, from a payroll or a training or a new hire. But I would support adding that to our fleet.
If I could just jump in on that, the city's capital plan does call for adding a full-time public services employee in 2022. That's at least the plan. So it would be essentially taking the part-time position that we are hiring for and then maturing that into a full-time position. I'm not sure, at least for me, Chad, I don't know if I follow, but I think the question is, would you run a 3-plow shift if you add that 3rd plow to maintain that 12-hour service level?
Yes, we would. We have the ability right now to make a 3rd large plow truck route, and right now we're kind of shifting it because of the development west of Jonathan Carver Parkway. We do have the option to run a third plow route.
Lori, are you good? Okay. What?
I always looked at LGA as just never bank on it and run our budgets and everything, and it's kind of like a bonus. So we budgeted for it. Let's get the truck, and that way we can keep up with the snow events and let's get the truck.
All right. So I think
that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn. Brent, I think you have the direction to.
Yeah. So what we would do is this would just be the guidance we need to bring this to a regular meeting because of the dollar amount. we'd asked the council to approve plans and specs, but I didn't want to bring it if there was going to be, I think this discussion was helpful for us, but ultimately you'll have to vote it up or down at your next meeting. So Chad and I will just work together on getting that information for you for your February 16th meeting.
Great, thank you. Do you want to keep going, Brent?
That's all I have.
Okay. Any COVID pandemic update?
Oh, yes, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
We were planning to open our rental facilities and start taking reservations. Right now, the current state guidance is at 25% occupancy, so that's what we would apply to that. We've developed what would we call it? A waiver, Vicky, or a notice. Essentially, we don't get into policing that, but we have and because of those rules change, we essentially ask the renter to acknowledge those rules. We provide information related to it. We have been in the interim renting to Alcoholics Anonymous, or the AA group at Church by the River, and Vicky had provided a table to me on the occupancy levels for some of our various spaces. So unless there's any objections, we would open up our reservation system starting tomorrow for future rentals.
Brent, or Vicky, I guess, what is the occupancy for the City Hall? In the big room, the community room?
Village Hall.
Village Hall, thank you. I'm just curious, if is it 150?
I think it's 135 if my memory serves.
The capacity is 150, so at 25% it would be about
38. Okay, thank you. And I'll for opening it back up at the recommended state levels.
Yeah. Does anybody have any objections to opening it up?
No.
And then just related to that, just checking in with the council on if you feel comfortable with moving on with our current kind of Zoom format. I know there are some councils that are slowly integrating themselves back into the council chambers while still doing Zoom with, for example, like staff participating from Zoom, but council in the chambers. And I know we did that for a little while where some of you were present and some of you were on the Zoom. So I just wanted to check in with that. No official recommendation.
I think if we're all in the chambers, it's wonky because we have to be sat all over the place. I know one time I sat up where presenters would be from the public and somebody was at another table. So, I mean, and then there was another time where it was just three of us, and that worked fine when there was just three of us, but I don't know how we pick and choose which three come and which three don't. But I do think it's awkward when we are all five there because of the positioning of us. It's hard to see, it's hard to hold our meetings in a way that to me is functional. So I guess for me, I'm okay with continuing with Zoom for right now until we loosen up a little bit more.
Anybody else have any thoughts, feedback? I'm here already, so.
We'll be more than happy to come down and sit down in our new city hall.
Really, it's okay if you want to stay home, Glenn.
Oh.
Anybody, Lori, thoughts?
No, I'm very flexible, so whatever you guys think is best.
So I'm not hearing us provide Brent with any direction. So
No, I do like this idea of just kind of every typically 2 to 3 weeks being able to kind of, check in or kind of get a temperature on it. So, I would definitely say the next 2-3 meetings Zoom, and then we revisit.
And I'm still for Zoom just until it doesn't feel so awkward when we're spread all over the room.
Glenn, you're welcome down here anytime, but
I'll be watching the Super Bowl this weekend. This is my championship trophy, Courtney.
Okay, let's keep it. We can wrap this up in about 3 minutes here, I think, if we're lucky.
That's fine.
Brent, I'm hearing everybody, for the most part, being comfortable with maintaining the Zoom.
Yep.
Oh.
So I guess we'll just keep bringing it up. I appreciate the reminder, Mayor Johnson. I think if someone wants to come down, if you could just let us know so that we can make sure that we prepare the room. But I think Council Member Mott's point is a really good one, where it does get a little clunky once to keep the council up. So I think if we have, maybe the next step is a rotating list of the mayor and, council members rotating 2 at a time, so that, all the members present can sit at the dais. So whenever we feel like things are loosening up, maybe that's the next baby step to normal.
I'm good with that. I mean, again, like Lori said too, and Courtney's and Glenn, everybody is like, we just keep bringing it up at the next meeting that we have and making decisions as we go. So if we want to talk about, see what 2 weeks from now and another 2 weeks from now looks like. But if we want to stay Zoom for now, like I said, that's kind of my preference at the moment.
All right. Anything else, Brent?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Christy, getting back to your question, and I'll forward this when I get home, but there's no data on where folks are coming from to wind up in Carver. So,
Okay.
but I'll send you what I have through Brent.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Glenn. We have a motion by Councilmember Henry.
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilmember Sayer. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry,
Go ahead, Henry.
Councilmember Mott,
Hi, Christy Bach.
Councilmember Sayer,
Lori Sayer.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, we are adjourned. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.